Welcome to Next Up with NextGen, the podcast bringing you insights and perspectives from the next generation of leaders in the American Council of the Blind. Brought to you by ACB Next Generation.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Next Up with NextGen. My name is Greg Lindberg, and I'm the current ACB Next Generation Publications Committee Chair. Here on this episode, we have a recording from a recent NextGen event, and the topic of discussion is the 2026 CSUN Conference. And if you're not familiar with CSUN, it's considered the largest assistive technology conference in the world. So let's go ahead now and turn things over to Lindsay Lavier. Lindsay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight for tonight's Tuesday night huddle, where we will be discussing and recapping the 2026 CSUN Conference. Tonight's event is sponsored by ACB Next Generation. We invite you to join us as we develop, lead, and elevate the next generation of ACB leaders. If you would like to learn more or become a member by visiting us at our website at acbnextgeneration.org. Welcome all again for joining us tonight. I am Lindsay Lavier, one of your co-facilitators for tonight's event. During tonight's event, you will hear from a few of our panelists on what their experiences were as they attended this year's CSUN conference, what technology was shown, what's coming up, and so much more. So let's get started into tonight's program, and I will turn it over to Maria to introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Lindsay. Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you all for what I'm sure will be both an engaging and informative conversation. I look forward to exploring this largest assistive technology conference in the world with our panelists. So welcome, first of all, to our panelists. I'm so happy to introduce to you all John Gassman, Michael Babcock, Larry Watkinson, and Jane Stuh. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Before we dive into the conference, let's start with a bit of an introduction to all of you, for those who may not be familiar with you. So I'd love for you to share a bit about your background, your technology connection, and your history with the CSUN conference. So let's start with John.
Well, I'm John Gassman. I've been going to CSUN conferences since the mid-90s, not every year, but most every year from 2015 onward. So I've been to the ones in Los Angeles, been in San Diego, and now here in Anaheim. I've been using assistive technology for a long time, both at work and at home. JAWS screen reader. Larry and I did the podcast for FSCast for a couple of years until COVID hit, and then they couldn't pay anybody. And so we stopped doing it, but enjoyed it while we had a chance to do it, and have had a chance to teach some assistive technology, not professionally, but I mean just helping people, and just have really enjoyed all of the things that we've had to learn about in assistive technology. We do a couple of podcasts together with others. We have, in addition to FSCast, we did that. Now we still do Tech Talk with Accessible World, as well as Main Menu here on ACB Radio, along with Jeff Bishop. And I do the Applevis podcast, which it's not every month. It's when we have a chance to do it. but I enjoy doing all of that, and it gives you a chance to keep up with what's going on in assistive technology. So, as you might guess, we've interviewed a lot of people and talked to a lot of people in the assistive technology area, and since I use it so much, it's really it's a lot of fun to allow me to keep up with all the new things that are going on. And that's about it, I think.
All right, well, thank you very much. And absolutely sounds like you have both a wide variety of perspectives and of knowledge to be sharing with us shortly. So thank you. Michael, let's hear from you next.
My name is Michael Babcock. I currently serve as the Membership Engagement Specialist with American Council of the Blind. And this is my third year at CSUN. My first year was possible thanks to Larry Watkinson, who you'll hear from here in a moment. He let me crash on his floor. I mean, he did give me a bed, but we'll tell people I crashed on his floor. I went to CSUN for the first time really as an opportunity to network with individuals. I had been reading about CSUN all my life, and I had always wanted to go, but never really actually pulled the trigger and went to check it out. I started with JAWS in 2000, I believe, somewhere around there. I've used an Apple IIe and several other technology tools. In 2012, for a very brief period of time, I was an assistive technology and Braille instructor at the Alaska Center for the Blind. Had the most amount of fun that I had had in my entire life at that point, which wasn't that long, 24 at that point, but it was a great opportunity to teach individuals how technology can make their life better. And I remember a story that I like to tell people. I worked with a gentleman who had diabetes, and he looked up at the street sign. He was a truck driver, looked up at the street sign that was across the road and could not see that sign, and realized it was time to stop driving, and thought that his life was done because he didn't have the opportunity to get out and drive and provide for his family. And I got an opportunity to share with him how to use the iPhone in 2012. Him and his wife went and bought one, and last I heard, this gentleman had become a licensed blind license manager in Anchorage and was running several successful facilities, and was very thankful for the fact that technology gave him his life back when he thought that he was going to lose it. And I think it's that type of impact that technology can have on all of our lives, and being aware of what's going on in the technology world will help those of us who want to stay ahead of things stay ahead, but also it'll help those of us who help teach other individuals these technologies stay informed, so we can make sure people are getting the best out of the technology. So last year I went to CSUN as well, had a great time, networked a lot, attended several sessions, and then this year, which again was a lot of networking and session attending. So thanks, Maria.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing forward that meaningful example to just bring the point home that this technology, yes, it's fun to geek out on and such and talk about, but it isn't just technology for the sake of technology and just interest and fun and such, just really how important and how impactful it is in our lives to be independent and integrated as those who are blind and low vision. So thank you for bringing that forward. Well, you mentioned Larry, so why don't we go next to you, Larry?
All right, Maria. It's great to be spending an evening with you. It's been a while. So I'm Larry Watkinson. I reside in Olympia, Washington, about 150 miles north of Michael Babcock, who lives on the Oregon coast. Sometimes that makes me very jealous that he gets to live right on the coast, because I'm about 40 miles away from the coast. So I'm an ADA compliance manager. What that really means in my day job is I'm responsible for a state agency's digital compliance, as well as its programs, services, and facilities. I teach nationally on the Americans with Disability Act, as I am a practitioner. And in my experience with blindness is I was born with congenital glaucoma, had just under 30 surgeries. I had one of these guys who learned Braille, At 23, I kind of part braille due to a neurological, I had Guillain-Barré syndrome, and it kind of sidelined me with my feelings in my hands for about 3 years. And technology started to emerge at that point. And I also had some corrective surgery that kind of was faltering at that time. And so I became very dependent upon technology with computers. And I just had to stop there. I currently actually serve as the information technology uh, person for BITS. You might consider me the chief information officer with Michael Babcock and Kayla Ventus and Jeff and I really leading the organization up for Blind Information Technology Solutions. And why do I mention that? Is that part of my journey in life has been to be able to share what knowledge I can share with individuals, knowing that I don't know everything there is to know about technology, but I have a group of people to pull from. I have a group of people that I can help teach. I have a group of people who are just wanting to learn what they can learn under the terms and needs that they have. And so if we can, help people along through leadership, through coaching, and from being a student of theirs, that excites me. And so with CSUN, my daughter just turned 33, and my wife and I was talking about that earlier. I've been going since the year my wife was pregnant with her, so that would have been 92, and I've missed some times due to COVID and some other things. And man, has it changed. It's gone from Los Angeles to San Diego up to Anaheim in that respect. And as it grows, the knowledge of technology grows and the resources that are available that are there. So, Maria, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this tonight.
Well, thank you, Larry. Thank you for being here, and thank you for bringing forward the point about meeting everyone where they're at, and that technology certainly is not a one-size-fits-all solution, that it's wonderful to have choice as we all have different abilities and preferences. So it's wonderful that there are all of these growing, as you said, innovations occurring to meet varying needs. Last but not least, Jane, I'd love to hear from you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jane Sa, and funnily enough, I am the same age as Larry's daughter. That's kind of scary to uh, find out. But I just got home from my day job. I do work at a blindness agency here in Los Angeles as an assistive technology instructor as of last year. And so I have been going to CSUN since 2008 when it was at the LAX Marriott Hotel, and it has moved from LAX to beautiful San Diego and now Anaheim. So, and definitely it has changed. Technology is ever changing, but it has changed over the years. And I also am a Braille user, been a Braille user since I was 3 years old. And yeah, and my first JAWS was JAWS 6.0 in 2003 or 4, around there. So, yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Jane. Beautiful. You're part of the next generation, and love it. And I also had JAWS 6.0, so definitely it has grown for sure in these past many years since that version. So thank you all for those introductions. So let us jump in to the conference itself. And I thought before we dive into some specifics, for someone who perhaps isn't as familiar with this conference, or perhaps maybe thinking of attending in future, I thought we would start with just providing an overall feel of what someone can expect if they attend. I know, Michael, you had mentioned networking, but overall, what is the flavor like? What are the different features or aspects of the conference? What should someone know from a general overview perspective as to what they might experience? Meaning, what types of experiences are part of this conference, which we will then dive into more deeply as we continue forward. So let's start with Michael with this one.
Okay, so my first impression when I went to CSUN was, oh, there's a lot of people here. So that was 2024. I think there was probably about, I don't know, 2,500 people or so, maybe 3,000, and it was overwhelming for me at first. I didn't know where to go, how to navigate, what options there were, and what I was expecting. In 2024, I went to primarily explore the exhibit hall because if you didn't know, the CSUN conference allows registrants to register for free for the exhibit hall, but if you want to actually attend sessions, you have to pay for those sessions. So in 2024, I went ahead and just went to with the intention of hanging out with different friends that I had known online for years. Fun quick side story, I got to meet someone for the first time at CSUN that I've been talking to online since I think it was 2001 in 2024. So it's an opportunity to make those connections that you might have already established but need to deepen. So you can attend sessions, you can engage with exhibitors, and expect at least in the current hotel, I don't know anything about any of the other hotels, John and Larry, but in this hotel, there was a very wide open atrium where you had to work on your navigation skills, and there were tools available to help with that. But for me, that briefly explains CSUN. I'm sure others have more to add.
All right, thank you, Michael. Let's go next. Oh, yes, Jane, let's go next to you.
Okay. Well, first of all, CSUN does stand for something. It actually stands for the university that I graduated from, California State University, Northridge. It is held through the it is the CSUN Assistive Technology Conference officially, but the disability services there, the Sun College, I believe, puts on this conference every year. Started in 1985. I think since this was the 41st conference. So I primarily go for the exhibits because, my company only goes for exhibits. Some companies, they allow the employees to stay for the entire conference if that allows. But that is an experience in itself. So, and there were tools available this year that helped us navigate the ever-expanding hotel.
All right, thank you for that, Jane. And that's a lovely connection that you happen to have there with the host university. All right, John, let's go to you next.
I would say that CSUN is just, for me, it's a great opportunity to meet friends, and a lot of whom I only hear about by a name on various calls and or emails. Rarely do you get a chance to see them very often, except at a convention or at CSUN. And I enjoy the exhibit halls. I usually record a lot of stuff at the exhibit halls and for use on Main Menu and Tech Talk. So that takes up time. And I also pay for the presentations because they're valuable to me. They do cost a bit more, but for me, they're worth it. And I enjoy those a lot. And I don't usually stay at the Marriott because I'm 15 minutes away. I did love it when we stayed in San Diego it was just fun. And we stayed at Anaheim as well for a while. But when I retired, I figured, I got to cut money back somewhere. So now I just take an Uber or a Lyft there and back and stay all day and all evening until things quiet down a bit and then come home. So we spend the day down there and have a great time, have a chance to network with friends. And it really is a lot of fun. And you get a chance to try all the new gadgets and things that come out and gain a chance to meet a lot of the people who are putting all of this together. And it's fun to be able to see things as they are just being developed and then to utilize them as regular tools as the time goes by. So CSUN for me is great. And then, of course, using it at the conventions later on as well is a lot of fun. So I enjoy it very much. It's a great time to be a blind person, if there is such a thing.
I love it. A great time to be a blind person, indeed. I love the uplifting note there, and how convenient that you're only 15 minutes away. That's lovely to not have to pay what I'm sure are quite expensive hotel costs. Last but not least, let's go to Larry for this question.
I'm going to take a slightly different slant here because I think that people need to learn the reality of what is involved with going to CSUN. If you're not in the California area, you need to fly into Orange County or you need to fly into Long Beach. And an average Uber ride is going to cost you about $40. If you stay at the Marriott, it's going to cost you just slightly under $300. If you stay like at the Clarion where I normally do, it's going to cost you slightly with tax under $200. Where I eat breakfast in my Clarion hotel, it's like $17 for the morning buffet. You go over to the Marriott, and it's up to $30. And the meals, are, unless you do the dine-in, Uber or some of those folks, you're talking in excess of $20, per meal. And so it may give you the impression that it's not a poor person's event. You need to know that there's some real money tied to it. The conference itself is around $500 unless you can get a discount coupon because you're a student, et cetera. And the workshops are about 40 minutes each. And some are infomercials. Some actually dive into some real developing technology. And what I would say to you people here in largely this group of the new generation is what I would say to you is if you're a rehab client and you're looking at the industry field of being in this field, have a conversation with your rehab counselors about maybe sharing and part of the subscription, and don't be intimidated by it. If you can, in fact, work with a rehab counselor, if you're, in college and stuff, there's some value in it. I spent a lot of time this year, actually not focused on what I could gain, but with BITS, I put out a solicitation to our members, and I said, you send me in advance who you want interviewed. And so I and John ran around. They were going directions, and they were talking to folks. And I did a bunch of interviews. I think I did upwards of maybe 30 some interviews for that I brought back to BITS. It's now on our website, or will be on our website for folks to listen to. I will also tell you that if you go to the CSUN 2026, you can still get access as a non-registered person to what exhibitors are there, where all the exhibitors' websites are listed there. Like John, Michael, and Shane, what I will say to you is this. The convention hall itself, where the conventions are, they're all lined up in rows, if you will. So you go down a row on one side and then you come back on the other side and back to back all the way through the whole exhibit hall. And there's a lot of people, and on in that respect, they're going through. And although I don't do Braille, this was the year for Braille. And I would say to John, from the perspective of a career blind person, this was the year to be there. I felt the smart glasses was a little short on some ends, but I thought there'd be more development in that particular area. But I just wanted to give people kind of that overall, because I think that's kind of in the spirit of how you asked the question, Maria, about what it's like to prep and go to the conference.
Yeah, thank you, Larry, for that important reality check of sorts with that data, and thank you for the lovely segue there as we begin to dive into some of these more specific experiences. So as we begin with, before we dive into all of this gadgetry that you alluded to and more, I thought we would touch on some of these sessions, as several of you had mentioned those are an extra charge and such. So to really have a sense for those who are listening as to what is it that they're paying extra for. So I'd love to open this up to any of you who would like to talk about any of the sessions that you may have attended, what kinds of topics they covered this year, any sessions or takeaways from them that you found particularly meaningful. So we'll start with John.
I know Amazon had a couple of sessions which were very good. Google had some as well. A lot of AI stuff, as you might imagine. One of the most interesting sessions for me was a Vispero session. I'm a private beta tester, so I test the JAWS betas. And they talked about something that isn't even out yet and we haven't even seen yet. And it's an AI that literally is an AI that they're going to build directly into JAWS, where you can ask it questions and you can have it even help you, if you wish, do things. Look at various items on web pages, maybe compare and contrast, kind of like what InnoSearch does as well, where they can grab a whole bunch of material and contrast it and compare it for you and give you all the bare bone facts before you shop, for example. And they're going to build that into JAWS, and you can use as much of it as you like or as little as you like. And it should be to those of us who are beta testing this summer, they're hoping, if it all goes well, and released, they are planning by the end of the year. And they've talked about this on their FSCast podcast as well. Maybe you've heard about it. If not, go find the podcast on their website and listen to it. It really sounds interesting and promising, and they're putting a lot of work and time into developing it. And I'm looking forward specifically to trying that out. AI is practically in everything we do, whether it be in the screen readers that we use or the smart glasses that we use. And it's a thing that you might as well get used to, because it's going to be here. As long as you know how to prompt it and how to ask the questions, you can be pretty safe in assuming that it's not going to make stuff up or hallucinate on you. It might, but if you correct it, it will take correction. And so you might as well use the good points, which is what I do, as I use AI pretty much every day of my life. So that was a great session that we had, that we enjoyed. And Ira was there with a session. Most of your major vendors were there with sessions, in addition to having booths where you could visit their products. So it is expensive, but it's all what you want out of it. For me, it's worth it. It may not be worth it to everybody else, and that's perfectly okay. We all have choices, and it was another good year for me at CSUN.
Wonderful. And we will be definitely diving more into some of the AI updates shortly as well when we start talking about the gadgets. So let's shift over now to Larry. I believe you had mentioned attending some sessions as well.
I did. It's kind of interesting. I can hardly wait for Apple to come out with glasses. I mean, it's like I was sitting on the edge, and Apple, it's really interesting. They did some workshops there, but Apple normally does not have a booth there. So if you're coming there looking for Apple, they might be in a session. But Judy Dixon did a session on the glasses, and she did a product comparison between, and you guys gonna have to help me here, Michael, probably. She did a session with Meta glasses, the Echo glasses, and then the other one that's on the market, and it's like that. And she used 5 bottles of wine. And she had certain things that she asked the glasses, and it was the same question that she asked every single one of the glasses. She did not alter what she was asking, right? And so the results that she got was very, very interesting, right down to the blue cap that she actually dropped on the floor intentionally to get different reactions and things like that. I wasn't totally surprised, but the meta glasses ended up passing her brutality test in the sense that it was really amazing how they hallucinated. And I might mention, by the way, the Echo glasses did come in, I think it was second. And you might make note in technology today, they're opening up their Explorer program a little bit more. So for those of you who are interested, you might want to go look at what's going on with their website because they've launched a new website and they're available. And I mentioned that because I know you weren't talking about what was released today, but this is kind of what was said at CSUN when I interviewed them about things. And I think it's important to know stuff that they talked about at CSUN, like John was mentioning, Freedom Scientific. These things are starting to pop, pop out. If you're going to any of the conventions this year, a lot of the vendors I talked to, the merchants, they're going to be at the summer conferences. I think it's a little richer than my pocket, but I really and we'll get into it. But the dot was impressive to me. That was a really impressive. I attended a couple of other workshops, where Freedom Scientific was talking about some of their products and where they were going. I always like, Elizabeth Whitaker does a great bang up job, and so it's always good to engage. And I want to go back on one other thing about friendships and things that you gain. You know, um, I I would John almost more about social. I mean, Jeff Bishop and I are fairly close. It was great to have him there with us this year and last year, as well. And too bad he's not on the show tonight, but he he must not have passed the security background check. But anyhow, long story short is that it was really great to have an evening and go a day early and spend some time with John and Larry out for dinner and those types of stuff and in that respects. And so it was fun. I mentioned that because we could cross talk to each other about, well, what did you attend? What did you learn? What did you do? And and you kind of almost put yourself in their shoes while they're in that workshop. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. That networking, those networking opportunities definitely sound like they're so meaningful and something that really make that in-person attendance piece valuable. Michael, I believe you had mentioned that you had attended some sessions.
Yeah, the one that stands out to me, shameless plug because they promoted ACB, and it's always great to hear the work we're doing at American Council of the Blind be promoted on a stage such as CSUN, and that was what's new at Amazon. And the reason that there was a mention of the what's new or of what ACB is doing at the what's new at Amazon was because they mentioned the ADP or Audio Description Project website at adp.acb.org. It was a great opportunity to learn about what Amazon is working on, how they're making improvements to accessibility, and what they're doing to add capabilities to some of our favorite smart assistants, ALEXA, and give us that ability. And that was one of those sessions. It wasn't packed, but the people that were there were definitely listening attentively.
Wonderful. Sounds like quite a mix there, variety between vendor sessions and also just user sessions, which is wonderful that just anyone has an opportunity to submit a proposal for a session. Beautiful. So I know, Jane, I know you had mentioned that you had not attended sessions. So I think that we can shift with that segue some of these categories that we've alluded to and let us dive in to all of the excitement that you saw at the exhibit halls. And for the purposes of keeping this a bit organized, knowing that we could easily spend this entire presentation on either of these categories. Let us begin with the AI innovations that we've already heard a bit about, but let's dive into what you were able to see and experience in terms of AI integrations, whether those were with wearables like the glasses, and I know there were some others, and software and applications as well. So John, let's go over to you.
I liked what I saw from the Ira glasses. Ira literally is, of course, most people are familiar with Ira, where you have the visual interpreter and you can ask the individual questions, and they see through your glasses where you are and what you're doing. And they had CSUN available as a free opportunity this year. So as long as you were in the hotel or the exhibit hall, you could call Ira for free, and they would walk you around to whatever booth you happen to be looking for. And it worked out really very well. And that's the main reason I used them. I didn't get a chance to really try their AI to do a lot of that because they're still developing their AI. A lot of companies are developing. That's the third set of glasses that was discussed earlier are the Envision's Ally Solos glasses, which I have, but they're the youngest company in terms of development of these glasses. So they're not as far along as Meta. Meta's kind of in the middle, and not Meta. I'm sorry. Echovision is in the middle. Meta's been around a lot longer, so they should be better. But the other glasses are still developing. So, given time, they'll all catch up. But the Ira glasses were very good. Google is doing a good job with regard to recognition and usage, and they're pretty fast. And I'm in the beta testing area for them as well, and so looking forward to playing with those at greater length at a future convention, or maybe a part of their beta team. And maybe later on, if we have time, I'll talk about early development experiences that I've had with Glidance as well, because that's another great new tool that's about to come out here later this spring.
Why don't you, since that does incorporate AI, I would actually put that in this category if you'd like to talk about that now. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does. It incorporates AI as well as the robotic machinery that they put together and the cameras, which really makes it an up-and-coming mobility tool. It's not meant necessarily to take the place of your cane or your dog. You still have that choice. But if you're going to use Glidance, it does have several cameras on it, and it covers you from the top of your head down to your feet. And literally now they've gotten it to the point where it really is reliable in terms of moving you around people like a dog would do for you. And they're now just putting the finishing touches on it. They're doing a lot of testing with individuals, both inside and outside. We had a demo outside the hotel, and it worked perfectly. Little glitches here and there that they still need to fix, but they're taking care of all of that and writing all of that down and testing and updating and so forth. So they'll be at the conventions, and hopefully maybe by the time the conventions roll out, they'll be starting their beta testing. And that will mean it'll go into the homes of a lot of people who paid into it initially when Glidance first came out. I did, Larry did, a lot of people did. And I was hoping I'd get a chance to try it on my Alaskan cruise in June, but they don't think it'll be ready by then, but maybe this summer. And then I'd love to take it to Disneyland. I worked for Disney for 20 years, so getting into the park is not a problem for me usually. And I'd love to take it to the parks because there's a lot of noise and a lot of strollers and a lot of stuff that gets in the way as you're moving around. And it's easier when you're doing a sighted guide with somebody, but it's another thing entirely when you have a cane or a dog, or in this cadence situation, Glide. So I'd love to play it and test it out, and we'll see what happens with it. So I think I've got them interested as well. So maybe they'll come with me to watch it at work when we eventually get around to doing that. So it really is the next mobility tool. WeWalk is another one that is, it's like a Ambutech cane with tech built into the handle. So it's a different type of an approach, but both are good, and people have a choice in terms of what they want to do.
Very exciting to see those coming along, especially as they've been with their journeys. It's been quite a journey of a couple of years, I know, for Glide and such as well. So that is exciting.
Maria, if I could
Next,
jump in real quick before we move off the guidance
yes,
conversation.
go ahead, Larry. Yep. And then we'll just, you can, if you want to share, and then just go ahead and share any other thoughts you have in terms of AI
I think
related.
it's easy to talk about a product. It's easy to talk about a product. But what you have to do is you have to talk about how the company presents itself. And maybe John might follow back up with this, but they are truly listening to the blind people and developing this product based on the input. And of all the interviews I did at CSUN, I could tell there was a sincere commitment to their potential users.
They literally are. They're asking you questions and they're taking notes and they are testing and they're doing everything as they develop it right out in the open. And they do a Zoom call every month for those who have wanted information or even have paid into the product. And you literally get an update from them every month in terms of what's going on, and you have a chance to ask them questions. They ask you what you would like on the Glide, how you would use it. They're having roundtable discussions now in April and May as they get ready to physically produce the unit. So they are about as transparent as you can get in terms of developing their product. And most companies aren't like that. I mean, they just say, okay, here it is. And they hope that they've done a good job. And in some cases, they do ask you, but not to the degree that the people at Glidance do. And so I'm really impressed with Amos Miller and everybody else who is a part of that company.
I would agree with that as well, having participated in their events and surveys and having paid into it as well, to just have that other option, different tools in the toolbox. So thank you for mentioning that. And for anyone who does want to sign up at glidance.io, you can sign up to that newsletter and to be plugged into the community. So Larry, why don't we go back to you to continue with any other thoughts that you have relating to any AI related innovations that you may have seen in the exhibits?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who think AI is going to have our problems solved for us. And I'm going to say, kind of cynically speaking, a lot of those were for profit. I mean, and trying to make your PDFs accessible, and they're going to come in and charge a large amount of money to convert things. And with 3 weeks of programming and application building, Jeff Bishop has already built a tool that most of those companies are wanting to charge massive dollars for with bits. And it's just amazing to me what development is being done just internally with us within bits, that it's competitive to what I've seen these people trying to charge thousands for. And so I'll just simply say the ability to develop and work with AI, it's more local for us to be able to actually control our own lives, our own tools, where if you get some developers involved in that respect. We may not have the name brand, but I guess that was kind of one of my cynical things about some of the AI. They're already saved my world with PDF documents. I'm done being saved. I will tell you, I hope it's not inappropriate. I loved it. There was bumper stickers there and a bunch of stickers that said "Make love, not PDFs," and I loved it. It was the best sticker of the whole event. And hopefully, I haven't violated the rules here, but that made my convention.
Well, thank you for bringing that forward as well. Just adding some levity to something that seems very information packed, and thank you for that. Those candid thoughts as well. All right, Michael, let's hear from you.
Oh, when we stumbled upon those stickers, we had to tell everyone. Anyways, I think that what stood out to me is so specifically related to AI. I got to check out this device and I was trying to find it and I can't because I think it's a society /grammar anyways, it was a product that was made in Mexico. This wasn't a exhibitor, but it was one of those, we go back to it, networking opportunities where we got to check out some of the other devices that people were just there to show. And this was a modular device. If you've ever held a Nintendo Switch in your hand, the brains of it was a device that felt very similar to a Nintendo Switch. So not very large, had a couple of Joy-Cons on each side of it, and you can navigate it with the up and down, left and right arrow keys, or with the joysticks that were on both sides of the device. But it had a camera you could attach to it, and this gave you the ability to take a picture and get AI descriptions based on what it was able to see. It also had a scanner that was about the width of an 8x11, an 8-inch paper. You would put the scanner, it was a bar, and you would slide it down the page. It would use AI, and then it would interpret the text. And there was a magnifier attachment as well that one could use to magnify their environment. And I can't remember the name of it, but if you send an email to community@acb.org, I will find it, because I have a couple of friends who checked it out, and I'll check with them to get that name. So that was one thing that stood out to me. Another thing that was AI adjacent was LG was there demonstrating their LG washer and dryer and dishwasher and refrigerator and all of those type of things. Appliances is the word that I could not come up with. So they were showing all their appliances, but then they showed us this cool speaker. And it is voice activated, and it works by saying, hey, what is the name of LG's ecosystem? Think IQ. Hey, Think IQ, what is the temperature in the house? Or, hey, Think Q, what is the remaining time on my laundry? And the voice on that speaker was amazing. I have not looked in to see if it actually has come out yet, because they were saying April timeframe is when they expected it to come out. But it was a great use of artificial intelligence. I love to tell people, back in February, March of 2025, I purchased a LG washer and dryer. And I was super excited because I was able to use it from the app and everything was going to work well. Well, that is, if you can find on the touchscreen the remote start button to be able to press and hold that so you can use the app to remotely start the washer dryer, which kind of defeated the whole purpose of me using it. We did end up putting a bump dot on it, but I asked the LG representatives multiple times, if we used your speaker, would we have to use the remote start button? And was advised multiple times that would not have to be the case. So that's the two artificial intelligence things that stood out to me from this year.
Thank you. And thanks for mentioning this LG example. It just goes to show sometimes it's these little features that can make such a big difference, and more so perhaps even than some of the splashier ones, when the companies pay attention to these little details of lived experience. All right, let us now dive into Braille. We've heard a little bit about devices, a couple of them alluded to earlier, so let us jump in, and I can speak for myself, and I imagine for others who are on this call who are using Braille displays. It was just so heartwarming to find out about all of these exciting new developments in Braille. So Jane, let's go to you first.
Yes, as a Braille display user, I was happy. There were prominent Braille displays from Humanware with their Braille Note Evolve, which is a Windows 11 Pro is going to be on there, and Keysoft as well. On display, there were multi-line Braille displays from the Monarch and the Dot Pad, which are two separate devices. The Monarch is a multi-line, sort of a creator's, I would say, tool, and the dot pad is also a multi-line display, but it's mainly to view, because you would have to connect it to a iOS or compatible device. There was a new haptics which used air compression technology to power a 5-line braille display. Orbit was there with their multi-line braille displays. I did not get to see them this year. But yes, braille was very much prominent. Salvis VLV had their new Braille Sense 7, which is their Android 15 tablet. They have their new sensitive touch cursor display or cursor now, and that was there. And Cadence, I did not get to see Cadence this year either, but they were there as well. So a lot of Braille. Oh, and the Braille Doodle was there, which is a Braille teaching tool. And
All right, thank you for that wonderful overview. Yes, so much of Braille. So let us continue. Let's dive a bit more into all of these devices and more. So, Larry, let's go to you next to hear about which of these devices you got to experience, these or others, and what some of your thoughts were.
Well, because I am not a Braille user since age of 23, what dots I'm interested in is dots that would bring up graphics. When I do transportation related work, or am teaching transportation, like helping someone identify what is a roundabout, what is a curb ramp that's offset, I really got excited about the dot, and of course, we all love the APH and the HumanWare's device in that respects. And so I don't want to take our time here. Let's get to Michael instead, because they're more capable of talking about the actual Braille tools themselves.
All right, thank you for that. Let's do that then. Michael, let's go over to you.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, I did get to check out Cadence, and this is my first time checking out Cadence. I had heard about it, but never got an opportunity to experience it. So for those who don't know, Cadence is a 4-line, 12-cell Braille display. So you have 48 cells. But what sets Cadence apart is you can connect up to 4 Cadence devices together. So you end up with 8 lines of 24 cells, which is amazing, and it has an awesome refresh rate. Friend and I were checking out Cadence multiple times, and she got to feel a fireworks show, and that was represented using Braille and refreshing the display so that it would express to the user the fireworks shooting up in the sky and then them exploding and being able to feel all of that. Also, a Indy 500 race was demonstrated on the unit, and there was an opportunity to follow the car around the track and keep track of the positioning of that particular car, and you could pick which vehicle you wanted to follow. Now that was cool. She was checking out all those cool things. I, on the other hand, stood behind her and had one of the cadences in my hand and spent probably a half hour playing a fun maze game. So, it's all about which ones are priorities to you. But having that flexibility to be able to feel and have that type of content at your fingertips is amazing. Larry briefly mentioned it, but the dot pad is an amazing tool. Quick side note, as an ACB member, you do get a $300 discount on DotPad. So if you're interested, reach out and we can get you connected with that discount. But Dot allowed you to put together, one of the demonstrations that I observed was someone had created a calendar so you could easily feel what the month of the calendar was like, and get a lot of information. I'm forgetting how many cells the DotPad has, but it is able to do multi-line as well. And what's really unique about DotPad is they have an API, or the ability to program different things in the DotPad, that you can connect it to your mobile device and go to a web page and interact with those devices, with those software for that particular device. At DC Leadership in 2025, I felt for the first time my messages icon. And that might sound little, especially from someone who might have a little bit of sight, and or someone who has visually engaged with their phone and not, been completely blind. But being able to feel that messages icon for the first time did something that I can't really explain, aside from gave me freedom to observe what my sighted colleagues, family, and friends have been able to observe since the iPhone was released. So that was pretty amazing, and really enjoyed reconnecting with the team at Dot. Alongside Dot, there was a kiosk that had a 12-cell Braille display underneath the keypad, providing instructions in grade 1 on how to use the kiosk, and the kiosk spoke to you. And if you've ever been at a self-checkout where you or someone else scans a product and it reads you the price, and then wondered, why can't I go through the checkout flow if it already talks to me, which is something I always think when we're standing at a self-checkout kiosk. Well, with Dot and LG, they've come up with a tool that has all of this integrated directly into the machine, and you can do self-checkout and completely finish that flow while you're going through it. I'll mention one more Braille device that I think the name of it is Annie by Tinkerbell Labs, and I only remember the name of the company because I kept calling it Tinkerbell and got corrected. So Tinkerbell Labs, and this is a device that isn't currently available, but they're targeting $1,200 US for I think it was a 32, it might have been 40, but more than 20 cell Braille display running on Linux, which potentially had the ability of installing third-party tools to the device. It is definitely a prototype and something that I think might come to fruition, and I'm super excited about it as well. Oh, I said one more thing. I did spend some time with Orbit and got to check out their Orbit Flow, which podcasts after CSUN have described it as having a MacBook-like feel to it, and I can see where that came from. This is a 40-cell Braille display using piezo cells and allowing you to connect to your device via a cable, and it uses, I believe, USB-C. It does not have a battery. It does not have Bluetooth support, but it does have that capability to give you the information without too many bells and whistles. You don't have buttons. You don't have to worry about fiddling around with it to get it connected. It's available for you to use with your devices. And of course, I've felt some of the other Orbit products, but that's my Braille. I'd love to hear what John has before he leaves.
Well, real quickly,
Oh,
Orbit
yes.
is about to come out with subsidies and discounts on a lot of their products, and I don't have specific information, but you might check the Orbit webpage for more information, or tune into Tech Talk this Monday for Accessible World, and they'll have more information about it.
All right, thank you, John. So I know since you have to leave in shortly, anything that you would like to add relating to Braille that hasn't been covered already? So not hearing anything further. Are there any other devices, whether some other type of device category or just some other type of miscellaneous product that you experienced in the exhibit hall that hasn't fallen into any of these categories so far? So let's start with Larry.
I think it's been fairly well covered. I will make another plug for the convention layout and the program, a lot of these folks have put their PowerPoint slides up on the websites where they are. So if you go out and get those, you can actually do kind of a virtual attendance with some of those PowerPoint slides that a lot of the presenters shared. And there's some value there in being able to, maybe go and look at some of those slides for yourself. You certainly aren't going to necessarily have the audio audio of the person presenting, but if you're kind of an explorer, you might be able to get a little bit more details and stuff. I think the one thing that seemed a little bit less, Michael, and I don't know if you really came across it, but my wife Kathy, actually, who's kind of the person who really kind of helps, kind of, if Michael or Jeff or and myself, we need help getting expedited to a room, she's real handy there and is real helpful. Her observation was that there seemed to be less magnification device there, and that there did not seem to be the huge variety. So I don't know if that's on the decline or if they're just really relying more on like iPhones and iPads and other types of things. And so I have like freestanding. There just wasn't, she didn't think as many of those there this year. But Michael, I think it might be fair to say one of the things about CSUN is there's some things that are hot some years, and then it's not there and kind of hot the next year. And I know you don't have as many years, but John, your thought is it's kind of like there's this, it kind of moves around in terms of what's hot, what's popular.
All right, thank you for bringing in that low vision piece as well, to touch on that. All right, Michael, then let us go over to you for any other devices which we haven't talked about yet, which you may wish to add.
Well, I got to check out the Meta Ray-Bans and, the Meta AI glasses. And some of you might be thinking, oh, that's cool, Michael. Those have only been around for like 2 years now. But what was really awesome is checking out what some of the developers are doing with the opened software developer kit that they can integrate with. So NaviLens, I like to tell people this, was at CSUN, and they were demonstrating the ability to connect to and use your Ray-Bans with the I'm sorry, I just got a message there. So they demonstrated the ability to use NaviLens with your Meta glasses and scan a code. For those who don't know, NaviLens is a more advanced QR code, and they can be observed and read from longer distances dependent on how the lens is placed or how the code is placed. But you can scan these with your glasses, and then once you've scanned them with your glasses, it'll give you the information that you can have. Now, it was a little clunky at times, but it did give me a demonstration of what some of the developers are working on for the glasses. There was talk/demonstration of Ira direct integration with the glasses. As some of you know, as of yesterday, that is now public and live and able for people to engage with and check out. So that was another cool thing. And then I think the last thing that I will mention is I can't iterate the fact that there were people out there who we might have heard their businesses before. We might have heard them on different shows, but weren't actually appearing at CSUN. And I feel like some vendors were actually at CSUN for the first time, and I was happy to see that. For example, Visualize Access was over there, and you could, and Sean and his team were demonstrating what they're doing and how they're working with clients to be able to help them interpret the world and interpret the visual world that we all live in. So that's a couple of things that I thought I'd mention.
Thank you. Well, As you all have heard, there is just a dizzying array to experience at this conference, and it sounds like such an exciting mix, both of updates that are soon up and coming or even already available, to prototypes that are still quite a ways out. So definitely such a great way to just be on the cutting edge of assistive technology. And so with that, let us open it up now to all of your questions. All of you who have been listening in, we'll open this up to, if you'd like to raise your hand to ask a question of Larry or Michael or both. And I see that we already have a couple of hands raised. So let us begin with Deborah.
Yeah, so my question is about the glasses, but just as a little background, the last time I went to CSUN was 2007, and my employer paid for it, so I had to go to a bunch of sessions that were related to my job and not to blindness, because I work with learning disabled people. And so I was lost in that hotel half the time. And one of the things I'm curious about now is those of you who actually own a pair of smart glasses or use Seeing AI or anything like that, how did that help you navigate the hotel? Were you less lost in the exhibit hall and in that giant big area with the north and the south elevators when you had access to AI assistance? And I will go back on mute now. Thank you.
Oh,
So,
I will be
yeah,
glad to take this one. Go ahead.
yeah,
Larry.
and I know, and let me just sort of say, I think we need to divide this into on the convention floor versus navigating the hotel. I had Kathy most of the time, right? And she's some of the best set of AI I have for in person. And stuff. But on the convention floor, my wife is low vision. I think many of you know that. And so Kathy and I would walk to a booth, and she could not always read the signage. Let me tell you, my smart glasses read signs like it's never read before, because it's the first time I've ever gone to a conference since getting into the smart glasses and not having to pull my phone out of my pocket. So Deb, from that perspective, not only could it read the signs of the booth, but it was reading me some of the details of what was going on there, and that respect. Mike, you have a whole different way that you used your glasses, and yeah.
Yeah, so I actually didn't use glasses. I packed them, and I found that I didn't use them until I got to DC, and I only used them once or twice. However, I was very confident with navigating through the hotel using a tool that I know some people struggled with last year, but I had discovered it last year, and it just changed my conference experience. I have some feedback. I'd like to see them get this working in the exhibit hall. But I was using Good Maps indoors, and this allows you to stand with your phone vertically in front of you and slowly rotate, and it'll capture where you are in the hotel. And then you can choose your destination to where you want to go, and once you've done that, then it guides you through, tells you to step to the right a little, or make a right in 14 feet, or left up ahead, or doorway coming up. And it gave you all of that feedback. Because it was so loud in there, what I also appreciated was the haptic feedback that the Good Map system gave me. Because if I was on track and going where I needed to go and where the phone thought I needed to go, then I didn't feel anything. But immediately after I got off of that track, I would feel a vibration. And so I would be able to move my phone closer to my head so I could hear, and probably should have been using my glasses because I probably would have heard better. But that was what I used. And then, of course, as John mentioned, for the a while, Ira was available, and that's what I used in the exhibit hall. Was I just called Ira. And I think now with this integration of Meta AI glasses and Ira, if CSUN was next week, I would have used my glasses almost nonstop probably during CSUN because of that direct integration. But I just found it to be too much of a clunky experience to open WhatsApp and get connected over WhatsApp and be able to use Ira that way through the glasses. And if I was holding my phone up, I did just call Ira in a lot of cases. So
Yeah, and with Mike and I, the other thing is too, is that Mike and I have each other on Find Mine. And so I
Yes.
was able to use my iPhone, and I could get within a foot of Michael. Of course, you get close enough, you can hear the voice or my voice or whose ever voice. But,
Yep.
But that's a tool that we deployed last year, that we did last year at conference. And that really comes in handy if you don't have the resources that Michael was just talking about.
Yes. So is there anyone else that has any questions?
Yes, this is Jeff. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I have two questions. One is, and I'm joined a little bit late, so hopefully this wasn't already covered, but there is a device called OneCourt that you guys are probably familiar with. It's I don't know, I guess looks like an iPad, and it's
played with it.
You have. Okay, cool. So my question is, was it there at CSUN? And I'm very curious. I'm a big baseball fan. It's my understanding that the Arizona Diamondbacks started to use this device at their games July of 2025. How you're hearing how this might be working in the Major League Baseball stadiums. And then I have another totally unrelated question after you guys comment on the OneCourt.
So I wish Kobe Garrison was here. She's just on fire, and used that device at the Super Bowl and then played with the races. Wasn't that the device she used at the?
Yep.
Okay, and then on top, I did not use it at CSUN. I have played with I live in the, as I said earlier, Olympia, but it's 100 miles away from Portland. And so I have watched a basketball game with Portland Trailblazers on it, and stuff. It takes some getting used to. It's using your fingers and your hands and your palms of your hands if you're really going to follow back and forth between the courts, because basketball is very, very fast. So there's a little bit of a delay and stuff like that. Michael, did you get a chance to play with it?
I did not. I have not. And to answer your question there, Jeff, they were not at CSUN this year.
Okay.
But I know a few people that have checked it out, and they have announced that they do have their at-home packages available. So OneCourt is working on making their devices available at home. I don't have any details on that. I would do a quick Google search, but just to bring that up, and I don't know about it standing with baseball.
Yeah, and Kobe's a real big race fan, right? And so I think it was the Daytona or one of those races, and she was able to pick out her car and go around the track with her car through the whole thing. I mean, she was just like on fire about it.
That was the Indy 500 using the Cadence, not OneCourt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then I did have a second question if there was nothing else on the OneCourt device. So my second question is, you guys are clearly expert on all this technology. And I'm going to ask a dumb question. So what I'm hearing is so many developments. I'm hearing people like Amos with Glidance, really pushing. And I'm sure many of these companies are putting a lot of their own money into something that may or may not be profitable in the long run. They're all taking a chance, and some are doing it for the right reasons. So while technology is not a cure for low vision or blindness, it certainly is a mechanism to better and more fully employ people that are low vision or blind. And with the 70% unemployment rate that we're all familiar with, how have we as a community ever progressed getting any sort of federal funding, kind of like the medical industry gets for drug research, for medical treatments? How is this not good for the federal government to accelerate the development of these tools to get the younger generation and mid-generation fully employed, which will then generate tax dollars for the federal government? So it might be a really dumb question, but I just thought I would ask.
So I don't want to get political.
And I don't mean, and let me jump in. I'm not talking about this specific point in time or 4 years ago or 4 years, just in general, the concept of better utilizing people with low vision that are blind in the working environment. That's all. It doesn't have to be one side or the other.
Oh, I think we have to address the current times, and that is that the government's on pause for doing a lot of things. However, we just got the new talking book machine released, and there's some effort in coins and that respect. But I think long term overall, rehab agencies have struggled to figure out the variety of tools. And a lot of those rehab agencies make decisions based on what they have lived experience with. And I think as you bring lived experience to the table and cost factor to the table, I think that you could see some potential rebalancing of what tool, what multifunction tool um, is going to be good for the marketplace to get you there. And I think really what it comes down to is being able to kind of predict what career choices people are making and what is there. And I think that is in fact where AI in fact could have some supplemental resources at relatively less cost. I think that with the development of the iPhone, I think it's had a positive impact, and there's other phones that are out there, smart, Samsungs. I think they're having some positive insight that, and I think it might be good for a good conversation for employment opportunities and gearing for that career and what tools you need. When I was going to school and stuff, it was like, what large print books could I get in time? Well, I don't need to worry about that as much now because I can just pretty much get them in digital format. And I would just dream of being in college today compared to what I was like in 1985 working on my associates and then going through grad school, even in as around 2008 when I was completing grad school, as a near 50-year-old. And so I would just give my IT to be in school today because my books would be a lot lighter because I could probably put it on my Victor Reader or on my iPhone. I don't know if that's where you were going or how you were answering it, but so I'll defer to Michael.
No, I think you did a good job answering that, and I don't have much more to add. So it looks like we might have another couple of hands.
Melissa, hello. Yes, please go ahead with your question.
Okay. Okay, my question is, I know I heard of, speaking of AIs, right? And recently I just downloaded an app called Cookie. It gives you, I don't know this, but it gives you recipes. I don't know if you guys talked about it yet, but the Cookie AI is, can it tell you like also with an iPhone, like even though when you have the Meta glasses, can it also tell you what you're like the Meta glasses, like what you're wearing or something, like like what you're wearing and stuff when like a shirt or something? Does the Meta glasses tell you that? It reads you that?
Yeah, so the Meta glasses will give you some of that information for sure. It just depends on, and this has been mentioned a couple of times throughout this show, but it depends on how you prompt the glasses themselves on what details it will provide you.
Right. But how long can it take you to when you say if you want to do a video, you can record from the Meta glasses and you just hook them up to the phone instead of you taking it out?
Yes. Yeah, you can record from the Meta glasses themselves, and then it'll give you the ability to keep that recording on your phone as well.
Oh,
ACB
wow.
Media has a really good deal on the Meta glasses. Cindy Hollis
Yes.
did a really good review on the Meta glasses and how she uses them in everyday life. And I think if you're really wanting to learn kind of some of the tools, to go and listen to her media presentation would serve you very, very well. But I think the other thing that Michael has emphasized and some of that, it's how you ask the question determines how you get the most detailed information, and it's
Right.
all about prompting. So my suggestion, if you have an A device,
Yes.
practice having a conversation with your A device, and
Mhm.
you will get better at how to use your glasses when you get them, no matter what brand or who you get them from. But if you can
Right.
practice having basically a conversation and learn how to prompt, because a lot of people get intimidated by prompting in the prompting part of
Yeah.
utilizing AI. And if you can help with that, it's
Mhm.
that will make those more useful to you as a tool that you're not going to feel as being inconvenient to you.
Oh, okay. And what about the I know the are they coming out with like the laptops, like the new talking laptops? Are they coming out with them yet?
Well, there's laptops out with screen readers already. You have Narrator, you have NVDA, you have JAWS and Print Scientific, and and like there's organizations like Computers for the Blind who has available
Right.
laptops at a
Right.
realistic price, and so right out of the box you can hit your control key, your Windows
Right.
key, and then enter and have Narrator, and that thing will talk your ear off.
Right.
Yep.
Now the
thank you.
iPads, do you like you said there's like you said I was hearing about the iPad. Is it like it's coming to where like what are they going to come out like on in like Amazon, like the new one, the new
Those are already out. They just
Oh,
released a
okay.
whole bunch of them, and they're out and about. And in fact, I know quite a few folks that are in the blindness community who are actually using them, and with their voice processor, and they're pretty cool. And they're under $100. So a lot of them. So
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Melissa, for your questions. We are going to shift to some other hands. And thank
Diane,
you,
you're
Michael.
next.
I was curious about one thing. My husband and I attended CSUN back when it was in San Diego, and I think we paid like $200 for one day for each of us, and we had a friend with us, and she was sighted, and she guided us around, and she got in for free.
right.
Do they still do that?
They sure do. But they don't sell day passes any longer. You have to buy the whole event. And yes, personal PCA is what they're called. In fact, that's what Kathy did. She was PCA, and she served Brian. She served Michael, Jeff, and I, and anybody else. Kathy loves helping people get from A to B, and sometimes even to C and D. And that's exactly. So I don't pay for her to go with me at all, at least for the registration part. So yes, they absolutely do, and they have limited volunteers. They're at the conference, but with ARA, you're probably could get a volunteer help faster using that than you could probably some of the volunteers, because the people down there, they keep those volunteers working. Oh my God, just keep them really busy.
Okay, well, thanks for that.
We'll see you out here next summer, and we'll
Yeah.
see. Next spring in March,
Yeah.
but we'll see you in July though.
Well, I don't know if I'll make it out to California again or not, but it would be fun because that was how I I really enjoyed being able to get my hands on all the Braille displays I was interested in that were there, and that was how I settled on my Braille Edge, which I still have.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they don't have the gold rush anymore, but they've got lots of equipment for the blind.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. So before we wrap up, I'd just like to open to, I believe, Mike and Larry. We have you remaining still with us, and thank you. Is there anything that that we haven't asked, that we haven't covered so far at all? Any closing takeaways or comments that either of you would like to make that you think our audience here should know about the CSUN conference?
I think I would say go at it not with the expectation that you're going to be able to observe everything, but with the expectation that it's an opportunity to network and learn. And if you can swing it, even if that means, again, like I did my first time, you sleep on someone's floor or second bed, check it out if you get an opportunity to, because CSUN is an experience that until you're actually there in person, you're not going to be able to fully grasp.
All right.
Understand that they put the program and stuff together in January. Do your research. If there's something you're really wanting to study up on, read the program. That will help guide you if you want to really attend the workshops. Read the program area for the exhibit booths. That'll really let you know to zero in on what booths you want to go to. And Michael would never have to sleep on a floor in any room that we shared with him. and that receipts. And Maria, you just bring out this charisma of energy and these types of things. And I just want to thank you and the NextGen for allowing me to come. Although I had this daughter that's 33, and I heard Jade say, "Oh, we're the same age." I just want to make sure that the record shows I'm only 40. and so I really feel at home here. And folks, you guys are the next generation. The gentleman who talked about employment, get involved in your community groups, or whether it's BITS, who I am just passionate around, or whatever it is that makes you motivated. That'll help you decide too what you want to do at CSUN. And that's in fact where you could build a career by exploration. So it is the full meal deal. And many people who know me here, I cook professionally and have cooked professionally and still to this day. And so I'm always looking for those tools. And I mean, Michael and I have thermostat or temperature probes that do the thing for us. And just try this stuff. You're not going to break it. And be the pioneer of tomorrow by making your suggestions that you think you need for technology tools to survive in the future. And again, thank you to NextGen and to Michael and Maria for having me share the stage with them tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Michael, and thank you to John and to Jane as well. This has just been such a wonderful, I think, so very informative and also just personal and heartfelt recapping of this conference. And perhaps it's inspired you to go and learn more about some of the products, maybe even to attend in the future. And thank you for ending with that uplifting note about being the pioneers of tomorrow. And so I'd like to turn it over now back to Lindsay for some closing comments.
Thank you, everyone, again for joining us. Thank you to all of our panelists, to Joey for hosting tonight's program, to Diane for streaming, to all of you for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed tonight's event, then please check out our website by going to acbnextgeneration.org. If you have any questions or would just like to learn more, please check out our website, or you can give us a call at 202-524-0909. And please leave your name, phone number, and time zone, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Also, stay tuned for upcoming programming. Also, we have the NextGen 101 coming up on Wednesday, May 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is where you can come and learn more about ACB Next Generation, a little bit about some of our committees, and have some of your questions answered there as well. Also, we have a Zoom social chat twice a month on the first Thursday and third Sunday of the month. Stay tuned to your emails for more info on that. And we are also working on having a Game On event which will be a Name That Tune. So we have a lot of stuff coming up. So please stay tuned to your emails. And thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And we hope that you all will come and join us again at our next event.
If you want to know more about ACB Next Generation and the work we're doing to empower the next generation of leaders in ACB, visit our website at acbnextgeneration.org.